This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by $1 Million Crolla out here in Texas. Anthony, it's Canelo Smith fight week, it's finally come around, but as always, first and foremost, how is life, how are you doing?
Mate, all really good, thank you. I just blessed to be out here, that's how I feel, with one of your good mates fighting in a fight of this magnitude, and obviously having one of the best seats in the house for it, just being part of the camp and just saying the same to you, wasn't it? It's very strange being in these settings for such a big fight week, but it's an experience and it's something to certainly remember forever. And mate, I can't wait for Saturday. But other than that, no, all good. Just opened up the gym sort of the day before left it in it. So yeah, I've escaped the madness there. But to be honest, I think with all the restrictions, we can only have so many in. But my own three fighters, that's going really well. Everything's good, mate. Everything's good. Like I say, just honoured to be out here. It's great, sort of being out here with my mates, and sort of being around this big fight week buzz.
We'll come on to kind of fight week in the next question, but just to stick with the gym and that, how have you found kind of? I know it's only been a day before you flew out, but being a gym owner now, obviously having your own fighters, how are you finding the other side to the boxing world to what you have only just started to experience?
Mate, I say it all the time, and I feel a bit guilty saying it because I see how some fighters struggle with retirement. I genuinely don't, and everyone sees I stay, half in shape and stuff like that. I'm gonna go to the gym after this, I think, do a bit upstairs, but I don't miss boxing as a fighter one little bit, not one little bit. I knew my time was up, and that's it. And I think I always prepared myself in the sense that that day was going to come, and when you let it go, when it comes the time you've got to let it go, you've got to. You don't carry on too long, and that's it. But like I said, it's probably helped by the fact, look, listen, I'm here over here in San Antonio for my gym mates, huge fight. I'm in the gym every day. With them, like I say, I'm coaching fighters of my own. So I think I can't say I certainly don't miss boxing because I'm around boxing as much as ever. But it's just as a fighter now, I'm absolutely cool with where I'm at.
Did you anticipate, obviously heading into retirement, that when the time came, you would stay involved to the level that you have, or have you done more in boxing than what you thought you would after retiring?
Do you know what? I thought I'll just stay with the amateurs. And then, when a chance comes sort of to help Joe out and being with them, I thought, that's great. I can just assist I can sort of help assist Joe a little bit, and he gives me a lot of trust, working with the fighters. And then I've got the amateurs. I thought that's my aim now is to get, the amateur club thriving. I've got a great coaching. I think I'm only assisting there. I certainly don't class myself as head coach there. I'm not, but just to help, get behind that. And that still is the plan. But then I've ended up taking a few fighters of my own, and I love it, and I'm looking forward to sort of next year being out with them. But yeah, no, I'm in the gym more than ever now, because obviously once the gym starts again, I'll have some of the schools in certain times. So I'm busier than ever, to be honest.
Anthony, as you mentioned, and as I've mentioned at the start of this interview, we're out here, San Antonio, as you mentioned, a former campmate of yours, but you're obviously still in and around there, Callum's Smith, getting ready for the biggest fight of his career. You said, travelling out here, you've got such a big camp, you've got the brothers, you've got the team itself, trainers, S&C coaches, Paul Reddy, teams as long as you could imagine for Callum. How key can that kind of environment be, travelling out with such a huge team and just kind of creating that homely feel effectively?
So I think it's great. I think you sort of see last night, we was all just sat up talking. It's almost like, Callum's super laid back. Callum, I don't want to say he wouldn't like it, because he's just super laid back, so you probably wouldn't know, but he won't let it bother him. But I think Callum just likes that sort of environment. It's he's focused when he needs to be, and then when he's not, he's just he's happy to sort of chatting away sort of with the lads, and that's how it is. It's having a laugh and just sat there watching the football, watching the big fights together and stuff like that. It's just sort of home away from home. All his brothers are here. A super close family. The dad's here and stuff. So Mate, it's nothing new for him. So I think he likes that. He likes being around his brothers and having those few people around him.
How have you all adapted to bubble life, and especially whilst you've been here, how's Callum adapted to it? Kind of a very different experience to what everybody's used to, but for a fight of this magnitude, I imagine it could be, it could be hard to get himself up. I'm sure that isn't an issue because it is the biggest fight of his career, but just talk to me about that.
I say it, Callum's so sort of laid back. I don't know if it does make a difference as in if they had all that fuss or not, because he'd probably just do the same thing. He'd be chilled in his room, like say he might have a few games of sort of the PlayStation, the Xbox, and that's it. But I think it's obviously very different. He's been around big fight weeks before, where you see all the press, but obviously, as you know, it's very limited for this. But if it was in, say, a Las Vegas, Grand Rivals, you imagine it would be madness. Well, it would be. We've seen it. So it's different in that sense, but it's like I said, yeah, it could suit him more, but it wouldn't. Like I said, I don't think it'd change the outlook of too many things for Callum because of how laid back he is. But obviously, not to confuse that with him how much he wants it. He's very determined. Leaves no stone left unturned, and that's it really. Like I say, it's we're adapting to it. He's saying it's easy for us. I think we was here a few days before, and it's not turning into a tourist out like that, because we had to be careful. We was getting tested. We got tested when we was here. It was a lovely river walk, about as exciting as it got for us. Not Callum, but there's a lovely river walk and stuff like that. There was a mall across the road, which was really quiet. So, because we had to be careful, we didn't want to be, we didn't want to be on the bars on the riverbank, packed out, partying all night. But no, I think that's the bubble life now. It really sort of starts today, doesn't it? And I'm sure there'll be a few good sort of competitions and a few, some good laughs in here.
I was going to say, we saw Liam Smith playing. Well, he's had a few games of table tennis now. Is he the man to beat? I take it.
Mate, he'd be one of them. I wish I could. I've not played him yet, but might get some practicing because there's nothing I'd love more to put one over him over the week. But yeah, no, he's Liam's doing a bit of training here himself as well, like I say. So it's first, there's a boxing gym here. There's a normal gym here. You say not pool table, the table tennis table. I don't know if that's going to turn into a beer pong thing over there later on, but no, listen, it'll be good. Like you say, yourself, it'll be a mad environment, but it'll be good. I think there'll be there's a good group here. It's mad. We went for breakfast, then you've seen it. All the tables set out. I think there's 3 tables out of about 30 odd tables, weren't there? That was being used, but yeah, no, like I say, all good, mate.
And talk to me about, from what you've seen, being in the gym, Callum's preparations. How has he taken to this fight? Have you seen kind of a bit of extra needle in his own preparations? Have you seen that extra excitement in him when he's prepared, or is it again just been level-headed the way that you've seen throughout his career?
He's always level-headed, but I think I've seen his game raised again. I think we've seen the best of Callum Smith. I'm going to have to see the best of Callum Smith on Saturday. But it looked so good even last night, just a little shake out after the isolation. With Joe on the pads, it looked razor sharp. But and the night before, I think it was as well, just like when he's letting power shots go, he's still got the gears to go through. He's just very relaxed going through the gears, and I've got a great feeling for Saturday. I keep saying it, and he's confident. That's what I'm saying. Very laid back, but he's a big believer in his own ability. I heard him before say, I'll always back myself against absolutely anyone, and he means it. He genuinely means it. And for me, like sort of bigging Callum up, I always say it to like my amateurs. I would say watch Callum Smith because technically he's so correct, and I think that's what makes him such a good puncher at the weight. He might have that raw power. I know he's a big lad for the weight and that, but he's just very correct. And if you're punching correct at that weight, you'll knock people over.
We've seen some dubious decisions down here in Texas over the years, and we might, some people say, Canelo has had some favourable decisions, certainly going back to the most recent one being the Golovkin first fight. Is it a concern of the team at all if it does go to the cards?
No, listen, a lot of people are talking about that, but all you can do is turn up, do your job, and if we think you've done more than enough, just hope there's not an injustice. And that's something that, when something on this, I know it's been done before, but, something with the eyes of the world on it, an event like this, it takes some front. I'm not saying that'll stop it happening, but I don't know, we don't think like that. If Callum does enough to win the fight, we believe he'll get his hand raised. And then there'll be a huge rematch. But like you say about his hand raised, that's to say it might not go to the judges. Two fighters who carry knockout power, as we've seen, and we'll see.
How does the fight play out in your mind? We all know what Canelo brings to the table, as we do with Callum, and people have mentioned Callum always seems to raise it when he goes into a bigger fight. But how does this fight play out?
Obviously, it's hard to say, too much. But what I will say is that I said it. I think there will. I say this a lot, but I think in a fight like this, where you see two sides to Callum's game, we see him sort of boxing at range, using those size, that height, the reach advantages, but I say it all the time, Callum, for such a big guy, fights a great small man's fight. And as I'm saying, listen, I'm not saying Callum's going to go over there, get in the pocket like a little Mexican and they're just going to start chucking away. But Callum is a very, very good fighter in the pocket. So I do believe he's going to need a bit of both. But again, he's not the type to do it. He's got to earn the respect to Canelo very early in the fight. And that's what I believe he'll do. I don't believe it's not going to be one of them where I think Canelo. I certainly think he's going to be wary of. Doesn't matter how good his chin is, and his chin does look superb. He'll be wary of Callum's power as well. But I just think there's a lot of things that people are overlooking. Callum here, the success that Kovalev was having. I say it all the time. Listen, if it wasn't for the last performance, the last fight with John Ryder, then there'd be so many more people giving Callum a chance. Callum won a close fight against John Ryder. John Ryder's a very solid operator. Stylistically, people are just saying, similar height to Canelo. If you couldn't, and it's sort of disrespectful to John Ryder because he's a very solid operator. Couldn't keep John Ryder off. I was going to keep Canelo off, but it's very, very different styles. Very, very different styles.
You mentioned, Callum needs to earn Canelo's respect early on in the fight. He needs to show his power. We've seen Triple G land clean on Canelo's chin. Yeah. His chin just bounced back. With that in mind, with regards to the power, how do you rate kind of Callum's chances on doing so early on, especially having seen how Canelo dealt with Gennady Golovkin?
Canelo, the smart money, it suggests he'd be going the distance to beat Canelo. But you've got to remember there's a huge, I do believe there's a huge size difference. They're probably getting the ring weighing something similar, to be honest. But Callum gets a lot of leverage in those shots, and it's just, I think, with it, I've seen Callum. Everyone who Callum's hit, gets reaction. Canelo's a special fighter, yeah. He's built to take a great shot. He's shown time after time to take a great shot, but he's also been around a long time as well. So you can never rule that out. It's been documented
that there is no rehydration clause. Yeah. Who do you think that suits more, Canelo or Callum Smith?
I think, on paper, you suggest Canelo's fought at the low. Well, say he's also fought at the higher weight with Kovalev. But I'd say we're happy with it. We're certainly happy with it. Callum's not one of them who puts loads on, and despite the size of him, he certainly doesn't struggle. Not like every fighter, he has to be careful, but hand on heart, I say it to people, even to mates, and they go, he must struggle. I go, listen, he makes it easier than a lot of fighters. He genuinely does. You saw how he's been eating well this week. But I think with the rehydration limit, I think Canelo camp are very clever. They must have feel, no, we don't want the rehydration limit on our side. I mean, they put something, they must be confident, and you know what, fair play to them for not putting it in. I don't believe they should have put it in. I don't believe that there shouldn't be anything like that, but they've not put it in, so fair play to them.
Moving away from this fight, Anthony, I just want to go back to this past weekend where another Anthony defended his unified heavyweight titles in Anthony Joshua, overcoming Aj-Pulev with a 9th round stoppage victory. Your thoughts on his win and the performance? I know you watched it out here.
Yeah, we watched it out here in the room. I think that in parts of the fight, I thought Anthony Joshua looked really good. I thought that the lean back right hand to start off the first knockdown and the right uppercut all night was there. It was the shot, wasn't it? I thought, listen, Purewal, you had to say on paper before it was one of the top challengers, and Joshua dealt with him very well. Yeah, there was a few sort of times where you thought, does he look a little bit vulnerable here? But I suppose Anthony Joshua was always like that. So all in all, listen, I think he's got to be happy with that night's work. I think one thing that impressed me about him, away from a few of the lovely counters, was it was the third round. He almost you thought, was he emptied the tank a little bit as Purewal got his legs back, but he seemed to shown a bit of maturity, maybe like lessons learned from the first Rouge fight. He didn't get reckless, and also it shows his conditioning, his strength and conditioning. He recovered and found his feet again. He got his second wind. A second wind. In the past, we might have been a bit worried about him blowing up a little bit, because he really did empty the tank. And fair play, Purewal, he takes a hell of a shot. I know he went over a few times, but he takes a hell of a shot. So listen, I thought it was a good win, and the big fight everyone wants to see is still on course.
Now let's touch on that, because after the fight, a fair number of people picked up on the fact AJ never really seemed to kind of push for that fight. He wasn't kind of calling Tyson Fury out there, and many imagined he would do so. What did you make of it?
Listen, everyone has their own style to do it. Everyone has their own way of doing it. He said he wants the Fury fight. Tyson very cleverly went on social media and done his little bit. But yeah, but listen, I don't know. I was going to say, just for front alone, should have he done it? But at least he's being honest. If not, do you know what I mean? I think whoever that may be, he'll whenever that may be, that is the fight deep down he's got to want, and I believe he does. All the boxing wants to see it. Tyson certainly wants it. So hopefully, that the other day, maybe just want his style of calling Fury out when he had the chance. I'm not sure.
One other fight from that card I just want to touch on is the one between Hughie Fury and Marius Vac. We saw a very different Hughie Fury on the night. Yeah. What did you make of kind of Hughie's changing his approach?
I liked it, and I thought, I always say it, I think Peter does a great job with his son. It's one of few father-son relationships that seems to work very well. Shout out to Kerry Kays as well. He dealt with that cut fantastic. Kerry's a good guy, and he really dealt with that well. But I think with Hughie, a lot of people think, they want to see him a little bit more aggressive and stuff like that. And I thought it was a nice change. But I say it all the time, Hughie, for any heavyweight in the world, is a hard night's work. And a few things get added to his game. You've got to give him a chance with them as well. Listen, I say all the time, he's young, but he's lost 3 times in good company. Pulev, Povetkin, and Parker. One of them he could have arguably won, and he takes a fantastic shot. And I still believe, with you, I still believe there's a great chance we see him become a world champion. I really do. But yeah, no, I thought, it was a good night's work for him. Obviously the cut wasn't nice, hopefully that heals up well. And he lives it, and we'll see. He's good. I think he's definitely got to be up there in the mix.
A few other fights I just want to touch on before we end this interview, Anthony. Go back the week before that, we saw Logan Arthur overcome Anthony Yard. Just your thoughts on what was a brilliant performance from Logan Arthur?
Yeah, no, I was made up for Lyndon, obviously, local lad. Him and his uncle Pat and the old Colliers to Moston team. He's sort of local to me as well, so I was really pleased for him. I thought I've always knew he's had a lovely jab, and I said it before it. Actually, on Betfred, I fancied him to do it on one point. So Anthony Yardy, super talented, but I think he just he left things far too late. But there's the reason he might have left it too late, because the jab, he was struggling without a doubt to get past that jab, and without a doubt, the right man won, in my opinion.
Moving forwards and on to the Paul brothers, the YouTube stars. 2 fights to get your thoughts on. Start off with the one that has been announced. Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Your thoughts on seeing Money May return?
It's just, it is what it is, and it's just the world we're living in now, isn't it? The world we're living in, and good luck to him. It's if I'm sorry, Russ, I haven't done something to say last night. And no matter what we say about it, any boxers out there who could earn the amount of money he's going to earn for fighting a YouTuber would do it. It's just the world we're living now. And listen, if it's an exhibition, so I don't know whether it is an exhibition or is it a professional fight or.
I'm not sure myself.
Yeah. So I'm not sure whichever it is. Then so be it. I mean, I think if you're a boxing fan and you're paying for it, I think you seriously need help. Do you know what I mean? And that's just my opinion. But each to their own. It's not like for me. It's just an exhibition. And it's strictly business to me. Other than fair play to him.
I think most kind of boxing fans would put it under that exhibition title. But then to move on to the other brother, Jake Paul, we saw him call out Conor McGregor last night saying that he had a £50 million offer on the table. Just your thoughts on, again, seeing that and kind of effectively the confidence of somebody who has no ring experience offering to fight somebody who's a UFC star and has previously shared the ring with Floyd as well.
It's just, it's mentally mentioned he's undefeated, McGregor's not as a professional boxer. It's just bizarre behaviour, isn't it? But again, these people, they can generate absolute millions. Listen, again, sound like, if they want to do it, that's fine. But if you're a boxing fan, you just don't pay for it, and that's it. It's like, otherwise, it's other than you know it for what it is. You know it for what it is, and I saw Beefy having a go at Jake Paul before, and I think Jake would get Beefy in the second half of the fight if they ever met. But yeah, that's it.
Thanks for the time.
All right, and I appreciate your time today. It won't be the first time I catch you this week, I'm sure of that. But I'll leave you now to enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for your time, and cheers for speaking to Boxing Social.
Bye bye.
Cheers.